Hello, YouTube, and once again, this is Minister Edom, and I'd like to talk to you brothers and sisters, especially you brothers tonight, about the so-called black woman, and even more specific, the dark-skinned black woman. And just like the title of this teaching it's called, "Do dark-skinned black women have broken mirrors in their homes?" And that question that I ask, being that it seems like dark-skinned black women, not all, because you got some sisters that are chocolate and fine as hell, thick as hell, and can get on with any brother from dark skin themselves are damn near white. So it's not every sister, but the vast majority of dark-skinned women hate themselves. They have an attitude. They walk around with a chip on their shoulders, like they hate life, they hate everybody, and it seems like they're the first ones to pop off at the mouth or jump and go for bad. So the question remains is, does dark-skinned black sisters have broken mirrors in their home? Do they hate themselves so much and hate the image that they see that in their houses is there either no mirrors or they're all broken mirrors? It kind of reminds me of the movie. Do you remember the movie when I want to say it was Batman? I could be wrong. About the guy, his name was, I think, Zigzag or something like that. Or was it the Punisher? I take that back, y'all. Sorry about that. It was a Punisher. And the guy, he falls into the glass grinder or the glass recycler, and his face gets all cut up. And he goes around this house, and he starts breaking all the mirrors because he hates the image that he sees in the mirror. He can't stand it. And so, his brother comes along, and he's a psychopath. They break his brother out, and his brother tells him how wonderful he looks and how great he looks. But before then, all he did was break every mirror in his house. So that remains the question: do dark-skinned sisters have broken mirrors? Because, I remember an instance when I was in junior high. Brothers, and this dark-skinned sister, it had nothing to do with her being dark-skinned. But, I can't lay all the blame on sisters because there was a time, especially, I grew up, I'm a 70s baby, late 70s babies, kind of grew up in the 80s, Michael Jackson, Prince, all of that, grew up in the 90s and the best hip-hop there ever was. I'm truly blessed to have been alive in that era when hip-hop was really hip-hop. Even the so-called gangster music, at least it had a message. Yeah, they talked about pimps, hoes, but at least they were telling a story we could relate to. And it seemed like back then, even the gangster rappers had at least 2 or 3 positive songs telling you to get out the game. You don't have to do this. We are street reporters. But anyway, to get back on the subject. In junior high, I walked by this sister, and she liked me, and I could tell, but she just really wasn't my type. She was super skinny. She had no ass, and she reminded me of a Roscoe off of Martin. She always had like a snotty nose. So I'm like, man, your nose is always running. Your hair's not really done up. You're skinny like a toothpick. I just really had no interest. So she walks by one particular day and says, ooh, baby. So I didn't say nothing, wrong. I didn't brush her off. I just kind of smiled and kept going. Well, she got pissed. She got pissed at me, man. Oh, you mother after this and motherfucker that, and you think you all that, and didn't say nothing. I'm gonna get my brother. And at the time, I knew her brother wasn't gonna come to school. He didn't want to see me. They knew who I was. They knew my rep. I knew his rep. He wasn't no punk either. So it was one of the things where we was like, man, if we go out of it, it's gonna get ugly. But at the same time, he wasn't gonna do nothing anyway because it was some BS. So, yeah, I took this. So I seen her the next day. I talked to my brother. I said, man, tell your brother he do what he got to do. I said, if he's that petty, then, he ain't, his street name really ain't all that. If he's going to do something that petty. So I said, whatever it is, it is. I said, I got my crew. He got his crew. So whatever happens, happens. But anyway, that's the type of stuff that these dark-skinned black women love to see. she was getting ready to start some funk over some dudes with her brothers and his crew over, because the simple fact is I didn't want her. It had nothing to do with her being dark skinned. It had nothing to do, if she was light skinned and she looked the same way, I probably wouldn't have messed with her, because she was just like the black olive oil. I'm sorry, she just wasn't banging. And especially back then in junior high and high school, you going by damn near all looks. At that age, everything's got to look good. Your vision of a woman is, a centerfold or BET swimsuit issue or something like that. That's your idea back then when you're young of a woman. When you get older, you kind of, realize, that looks isn't everything, and your woman doesn't have to, be a beauty queen. Long as she, keep herself up, and she might got a little tail on her and whatnot. She's cool. You can deal with it. She ain't got to be the beauty queen. She ain't got to be Miss Jet. But most of my encounters and beefs and problems were with dark-skinned sisters. It seemed like usually the brown skin or the lighter skin, I'm not saying they don't have attitudes, but it just seemed like they didn't have as much attitude, like they were more confident, I can get on, I know dudes like me. And, even if the light-skinned sister didn't look all that great, she still had a better attitude than the dark-skinned sisters. So that remains the question, do you dark-skinned sisters have broken mirrors? Do you hate yourself that much? I just don't get it, but it's just true. Most of the most horrible things, even my aunties, the meanest aunties that I had were dark-skinned aunties that grew up with self-hate. And it wasn't all their fault. I can't blame, them 100%, because, my auntie and them's age, they're in their 50s and mid-50s and 60s and stuff like that. Our grandparents and stuff and aunties and stuff went through a lot worse era, than we have grown up. But shit, anymore, it's starting to look like, time is going backwards. It looks like we're spiraling back, to the 50s and 60s. But anyway, our families were so color struck back then, and they played the dark skin, light skin game, and it really affected our people tremendously. And we're coming out of that a little bit. You're seeing some really, really fine chocolate looking sisters, man. And like I said, there's nothing in the world that's more sexier to me than a dark skinned sister, with a beautiful lips, a nice nose, and she's got her hair done up, and she's looking thick. I mean, that is sexy as hell. But it's just amazing, man, how most of my run-ins were with dark skinned sisters. That's probably one of the things that guys like Tommy Sotomayor, I can agree with him with. They're the most aggressive, and even back in the day, I had some wannabe white boys coming up and stuff like that, and that I knew, they might date a sister here and there, and he was like, this one white dude I was talking, now that I'm a Hebrew Israelite, I probably would have either looked at him like he's crazy or swung on him now, but but back then, I was on that, we was in the, playing sports and stuff, so you had to get along and stuff, and teamwork, blah, blah, blah. So, I had a couple of Caucasian dudes I know that had dated some black chicks. He was like, man, I don't know what it is. He said, but the dark-skinned sisters is really super aggressive, man, and, ordering me around and bossing me around, and this is from the mouth of a white dude. So it's not just me. I've seen this in real life. And, I'm not saying that light-skinned sisters or brown-skinned sisters can't have attitude, because they can. Especially, you get that Pocahontas-looking sister, that might, have a Native American, daddy or grandpa, and she got, the kind of stringy hair and stuff, and she kind of looks like Pocahontas. Oh, man. They think they can do no wrong. They are God's gift to a brother. So, there can be attitude, too, within the different skin tones of our people. But it's just that dark-skinned sister, man, the aggressiveness, I don't know what it is. I guess just the self-hate is stewing so much, man. They just unload on brothers, man, and unload on anybody. that will give them the opportunity. It just seems that way. I could be wrong, of course, but I just had to, I'm getting ready to close out, but, I just had to get this off my chest. But it just seems like most of the encounters that you see on the YouTube and just me and my personal life is always dark-skinned sisters. So with that being said, YouTube, thanks for listening. If you like the videos, please subscribe. And with that,